back to the Up and Adam Show live at Mayakoba, where my next guest, I do believe, has had lots and lots of success. Let's welcome in Will Zalatoris, who is an actor. He is a Gronk handler, and of course, getting set for the Masters. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I was enjoying the TV time out of you talking about golf. You pretty much summed it up there with the halfway houses and all the golfers having fun with a few cocktails and whatnot. Yeah, you can. It's a fun thing about golf. You can make it exactly what you want. So.
No, everyone was miserable. Will, like, and not everybody's a PGA Tour dynamo like you. Like, they were down and out. What was your takeaway from or what's your takeaway from playing with? I know you're a Romo fan, like you're a Romo friend. NFL players or other athletes in golf, like, they can't give it up.
It's funny. It's like, it's almost like their competitiveness, like especially former athletes, when they come back and they want to like have some sort of competition, like golf ends up being it. And they think that because they were really good in another sport, it just translates immediately. It's really funny watching, guys that are, like I've seen Von Miller play out at Dallas National. Like Von's like a massive golf like nerd, loves learning the game. If Bryson's hitting golf balls, like, I mean, of course, everyone wants to stop and watch him hit an 8-iron 300 yards, but like Von's got to stop and like ask him questions. Romo's insane. I mean, there's videos of him stretching on greens when he's playing in tournaments. Like, he just loves playing competitive golf. But yeah, no, I mean, Gronk, I had Gronk caddy for me for a hole at the Players Championship a couple weeks ago, and he was exactly as you would expect with Gronk. There we go, picking up my bag, and he said it's lighter than a keg. I had to ask him a full keg or an empty keg because he would know the difference. He was absolutely hilarious. So that was a fun deal that FanDuel set up for us, and I made birdie. I mean, maybe not the greatest of advice, but I made birdie, which I think I only birdied it once in the tournament. So maybe I need if he's available, I might have to give him a call.
This was all teamwork, I think, because Gronk came and did a little drive-by on my show, brought me a Sawgrass Splash, chugged one with me, and then I sent him on his way to you. And you had rare form, Gronk caddying for you. Do you think he has a future?
I mean, the guy can do whatever he wants. I mean, he looks like he could play football tomorrow. I mean, he looked like he was in great shape. But, I mean, he's got some work to do with the golf game, but he's so big. I mean, I know that everybody, always says that about football players, but I mean, it's like you just see a golf club in his hand. It just looks like a twig. And so, if he wants to be good at it, he can do whatever he wants with it. But he was so funny. I mean, having me hitting 3-irons from literally right off the edge of the green, just because Steph Curry makes, threes, and he knows I'm from the Bay Area. So it was a blast.
I mean, as a golfer, he grabs the club. He's pretty close to hitting that island green on 17.
Yeah, the first swing, he had a really good chance. And then after that, I think he got a little nervous, and he really wanted to get one on that green. But he loves him some simulator golf, mainly because the bars, is always 15 feet away from him. But it was pretty fun, man.
We were just talking about JJ McCarthy in the break. I'd never met him. Impressive. Such an impressive guy, just the way he interacts with people. But he had a shot that went, NFL viral, which is not easy to do. I'd like you to walk me through this and tell me what you think.
Yeah, I actually saw this. I know you're down in Mayakoba. I mean, all these quarterbacks, they just somehow sneaky or just really good at golf. And I don't know how it translates. I mean, maybe it's a little bit like, just how the throwing motion or whatever, but I saw some really good actions out of the quarterbacks. So I'm not surprised, but a little right to lefter here. I mean, that's the one thing I always loved about Roy Williams, the old basketball coach, is I played with him a few times. He said, when I'm in season, I can't turn in any of my good rounds. Otherwise my AD will catch on and realize that I'm playing too much golf. So that's, he'll make sure, I guarantee you, JJ will make sure he's not hitting shots like that once it's in season.
Yeah, fair. But his knee's 100%. He looks great. It was awesome to see. I know you're a big Cowboys fan. You mentioned Tony Romo already. How did you two meet?
He actually became a member at the place that I grew up at in Dallas and saw me on the side of the range getting some work in. And then eventually we started playing a bunch of golf together. And, he's been a really great mentor of mine, even since literally since I first turned pro. I asking him questions about, how he went from being a undrafted backup to then eventually becoming the Cowboys, and that kind of rise was really, really good for me, especially once I was, getting onto the PGA Tour, and a guy that's, been the quarterback of America's team, and everything just has a little bit more added pressure to it, and just kind of picking his brain. And I mean, the guy is so golf obsessed to a point where it's even like, he's asking me questions that I don't have the answers to, and half the time I'm like, you don't need to answer that question either. But he loves. I mean, he loves playing. I mean, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan, and I all play with him all the time, and he's a fun guy to get in his pocket. So it's definitely nice when you get a little Romo money.
Yeah. How much Romo money have you gotten?
I mean, I'd like to say that it goes both ways, where he's got enough of my money in his pocket too. But,
what?
Really through COVID, we played literally 4 or 5 days a week. So, and eventually over time, he would start getting on a run and making a few birdies, and I'd start getting pretty angry. But it is funny when you get the 4 of us out there playing it. You think we hate each other, but, we're actually good friends. So, I mean, I've had my fair share of good days, but I also have had some soul crushers when we've gone out and played with them, and he's made a putt on 18 or whatever that I'm driving home angry.
So how much, Will? You're not going to tell me.
Well, I mean, trust me, it's in terms of what he's making every week, it's a lot different than what I'm making every week. So put it this way, if there's a few added zeros that I'm taking off of him, it's like a couple dollars to me. So.
Got it. Love that. Let's talk about Will, let's talk about you and these Masters. How are you feeling?
I feel good. I've had a weird year. I haven't really played that great. I feel like I've got 11 pieces to a 10-piece puzzle, and I'm trying to figure out what kind of has it been putting together. So, I've had some nice finishes. I just haven't really put it together for 4 rounds, and every aspect of my game's feeling really good. Body's feeling good. So, I typically have played really well on the West Coast and didn't really play amazing, but I know where my game's at. It's just a matter of time before it clicks. So it's most importantly, body feels good. Just got to put it all together.
Good. I'm happy you're feeling great. And yeah, you do have great finishes. Top 10 in all of your starts at Augusta. I've been to Mayakoba. I've been to TPC Sawgrass all in the last week. I'm on a golf roll. Tell me about Augusta. If I happen to make a way to the Masters, what is the one thing I need to do?
You have to get an azalea cocktail for one. That's their classic cocktail. The peach ice cream sandwiches are absolutely insane, to a point where I will stop. We have them in where the locker room is for the players, which is hilarious at how we're playing for a tournament that we've wanted to win our entire lives. And for some reason, by the end of the day, they're always out. Because just all the guys are stopping and getting some, but you got to go down to Amen Corner and just see it. 'Cause it's so beautiful. And, the one thing that's actually, some people love it, some people don't like it, is the fact that, you can't have your phone on property, but it is also at the same time, it's so grounding. Yeah. You don't, the one thing that I always tell people is that when you're at Augusta, you hear way more clapping than you do kind of the roars, just because nobody has anything in their hands. They don't have a phone in their hand. So it's just a magical place. I mean, when you stand there at Amen Corner and you see just kind of the beauty of the property, it's pretty awesome. It's our, Mecca of golf, at least for the United States. So it's, every year I've gone, I can't believe it's my 5th. Every year I've gone, it's just somehow just beats the year before.
I mean, and you had success there. I wonder if Augusta itself is the missing, or not, or is that 11th puzzle piece, or that magical puzzle piece that can bring it all together.
Yeah. I mean, it's a place that I've played my best golf literally year in, year out, always at Augusta. And so,
why?
Hopefully this, I don't know. I think one of it is a little bit of just kind of the mindset of, this is an event that I wanted to win, and it's just so special, and it's just so heightened. You, as a golfer, every single hole, you remember shots from every single hole through the years. And so I think it's just fun, because, you're almost in the tournament, you're recreating shots that guys have hit in the past, and you know how shots are going to react. And, I've got some great memories of, last year playing practice around with Tiger and picking his brain about the back nine was really special, and a guy that, he had gone through some back issues too, and, way more severe than mine. But at the same time, I have to pinch myself that I've been able to take some advice from him over the last few years, but it's just special. I mean, they do everything every single year to make it the best tournament that they possibly can. And, I love driving down Magnolia Lane every single day, and it just never gets old. It's a week that you almost feel like you play 3 weeks in one. But yeah, it's just so special when you're driving down there, and then 16, 17, 18. That's kind of where the real fun will begin. So it's that's the bridge on 12. I always do a nice little turn back there every single time I've crossed that bridge, because you'll never get that view on TV of 11, 12, and 13, and you get to see every green and every hole. So it's like I said, it's just fun as a golfer. It's our Wimbledon, it's our Monaco, it's our Super Bowl. So it's always just fun being there.
You can't bring your phone, but you are bringing something different with you this year. 20 pounds, I hear. What's that? What do I need to know about the weight?
Yeah, no, I this off season I put on a bunch of weight. I've been super skinny my whole life, and having some back issues. It wasn't really so much to gain speed and hit it farther. It was just for longevity, and I feel great. I feel like my energy level is way higher. Put in some really solid work this off season, and I've spent a lot of time actually with some baseball players at home, and so I kind of picked their brain, because all those guys are shockingly massive, and so just kind of seeing how they go about their stuff. And it was a lot of calories, a lot of protein, but I'm glad it worked.
Opening day today. What players? What baseball players?
Gavin Sheets, who's with the Padres, he and I went to college together. Rowdy Tellez is another good buddy of mine, both first basemen. Being in the gym with Rowdy, I mean, he's like 6'6", 260. And so being a golfer over there, doing my back rehab and not having a weight in my hand and sweating, and he's, deadlifting 450 or God knows how much he's got on there. It's pretty emasculating, but it's pretty fun. I mean, being with those guys, and, they're trying to be the best that they can. So, when I'm in the gym and I'm getting shown up every single day, it was a nice motivation to try to throw on some weight.
I think it's going to suit you well. Let's get to the real stories here. The Dallas Cowboys. You're a fan. Draft's here. They pick at 12. What should they do?
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think any of us. I'm going in with low expectations. I think I'm hoping for something fun. Whether it's a quarterback or moving up wherever if we can, or even get an Ashton, or just some guy who's going to be a big playmaker. But we're kind of in a weird spot. I mean, the Commanders are obviously the team to beat, and I mean, obviously the Eagles are defending champions, so they're in a tough division to begin with. But we've seen some excitement around the organization right now. I feel like it's been kind of flat, but every year we're going in and hoping it's going to be the year. 28 years later, I'm still waiting. So
I heard quarterback. Will, you said quarterback early, like Shador's there at 12. You want him?
I will take any excitement we can get right now. I think anything that's going to kind of shake it up. I feel like we've kind of been just super vanilla white rice, however you want to say it, just very blob with some of the picks that we've had. I mean, having guys like, CD and I get that we got to pay guys like Micah as well. Those are our two guys of the future. But, I think, Dak with how much he's been getting injured, I think it's we'll see what happens. I mean, the guy can still throw. There's no question about it. We just want to see him on the field and see him healthy. So, it's been a frustrating couple of years, and it sure doesn't feel good seeing a bunch of green hanging around, and we're playing in Philly in a couple of weeks too. So it's anybody but them, I think, is at this point.
I feel like I'm in a conversation with you and Tony Romo right now. You could literally sit next. If Nance didn't say yesterday that he was retiring 10 years from now, maybe when you're 38 in 10 years, you can take his job and sit next to Tony and just talk Cowboys.
Well, it's more of just kind of reining Tony in, because he's such a firecracker that he'll just keep going and going. And getting so excited about little things that I know that he's genuinely excited about, because I've talked to him about, he gets so excited about a left guard pull or whatever. And, a regular guy on TV, and I'm sitting there like, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, it's just a left guard pull or whatever, but that's his game. I mean, he absolutely loves it. I always laugh when I've gone on some trips with him and we've played some seasons of Madden together, and I'm like, oh, you're going to be offense. He's like, no, I'm defense. And then I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Madden with Tony Romo?
We've done it a few times where, the guy's such an addict with football that he would actually play Madden and would like, just for fun. And it's not so much about like, just like getting to know the guys. It was just, he'd be a random team, start up a random player. He'd go through the full draft like a GM. So you'd have some, like one day, like one time we were the Bears, and I can't even remember who we had at quarterback, but he drafted every single top pick was basically a lineman, so that it didn't matter for, for a running back or a quarterback, but it was just kind of fun sitting there. And I'm like, okay, give me the players. I guess I'm going to start throwing a bunch of screens to, whoever, or, so it's, but it's fun. I've learned a lot about it too. I've never played it down in my life, but, been a massive Cowboys fan forever. So, yeah, it's kind of fun and pretty intimidating too when you got to be the offense and your defensive guy's Romo. So you better not throw any picks.
I can't even believe your life. I truly can't, as I'm wrapping my head around this. And then there's this whole acting chapter that we are embarking on with you. I don't want to hear, I've heard you say so much. I want to know how you got the job. When Adam Sandler has a project, any project, everyone's gassing him up for a little spot, a line, a cameo. This is Happy Gilmore 2 we're talking about. How did you get that gig?
About 10 years ago, I was a freshman in college, and I won this college showcase that was in LA. And typical college kid, I hadn't gotten a haircut in like 4 or 5 months, and probably actually was even longer than that. And I had hair that was pretty long, and I immediately, when Golf Channel posted this photo of me from winning, they're like, God, who won this tournament? Gilmore's Caddy. And immediately it caught on. And for literally the last, there you go. Literally for the last 10 years, I've heard it. And I ended up getting the call from Adam to have a little role in the movie. And it was so much fun. It was so much work at the same time. Like I don't know how those guys do it. It's showing up at 6 a.m. and leaving at 8:30, but they love it. That's what they do. And I was pinching myself because, one of the great things about Adam is, I'm just kind of sitting there. Like I told him, I'm like, look, I don't know what I'm doing, and I have no idea if this is going to be any good, but I'll do my best. And he was just like, well, the beauty of it is you have to play you. So you can't mess that up. But, it was just really cool to see him kind of go about how he does things. I like just how it's like we took a couple scenes that maybe didn't have a funny line in there, and then next thing you know, it comes back 20 minutes later and the scene is now turning into something completely different, and how like hilarious this one line could be. And so it was really cool that he included a bunch of the golfers, and you'll have a lot of the top guys that are there. There's a lot of pros that showed up for it. And I ended up getting a script just to kind of see, in advance, just to see what what kind of role I was going to play. And I was even laughing just reading it. And so,
did you have any feedback? Cool. Were you like, what if I say it like this, or what? Like, did you have any, or did you just like, you saw that script and you memorized it and you delivered it that way?
There's just like there were like a couple little like golf things for like how we do stuff on tour. Like kind of the joke was like, there's a bunch of scenes that are like in a locker room, and Adam asked all of us on tour, or that are playing professional golf, like, hey, what's the difference between this and a PGA Tour locker room? And I'm like, well, the best part is that, the whole thing is Netflix. And so Netflix was doing a behind the scenes stuff. I'm like, well, the difference is none of us are telling Netflix to get the hell out of the locker room. That's one. Okay. But besides that, a bunch of guys just kind of shooting the breeze, and I always wore like super tight pants, for example, like when I first got out on tour, and, next thing you know, it's like, hey, maybe we should throw some pants lines in the movie because of Will or whatever. There's fun things that were like that where it's like, hey, let's just try stuff. And I think that was the part that made it so relaxing was, you think you're supposed to do in golf, you're supposed to do the same thing over and over and over. And he's like, no, I don't want the same thing twice. Like if I've got it once, I don't need it a second time. So like, do something crazy, do something weird, or, it's okay. It's like, he's like, the fact that I've even done this job for 30 years is a joke, so he was so cool though. I mean, his whole team, they've been doing movies together forever. I mean, they've been friends for literally 30 plus years. Learning some backstory stuff of like the first movie and how, they didn't even have any CGI and how like, they basically had to sit there with Adam hitting a putt until he made it. And, like all that, low budget stuff that, stuff that I didn't even know about that, Doug from the first movie directed the first movie, or who's the commissioner of the PGA Tour. He basically like, even though he kind of has a funny role in the movie, like he directed the whole thing. And so it was just really cool. I mean, just seeing these guys and just like the behind the scenes stuff was just to see him in action was awesome. But yeah, I think the fact that he called me was absolutely ridiculous and was so fun. Was up there for 8 days in New York and
8 days. I was going to ask how long. 8 days is that's a long time. But it doesn't sound like you were nervous.
Well, I mean, the beauty of it is I was just trying to be myself. So, I mean, if I had to be somebody else, I think it'd be, because I've never acted a day in my life.
Right.
But, the beauty of it is basically they told me to go out and just kind of be yourself, but also, do some funny stuff here and there. And it was a lot of fun. Justin Thomas and I were basically together the entire time. And so
amazing.
We had a good time. Half the time we're looking at each other like, what are we doing here? Do you ever think that you'd be doing this? But it was some of the best stuff about Adam though is that he'll stand there like if you're in a scene and he'll try to like kind of think something through in his head and kind of get almost like if there's a serious thing he'll kind of like pretend to get angry to like get in the mood. And I'm sitting there trying not to laugh because Adam is doing all of his like little yeah, just making his usual noises. And I'm like, I can't stop laughing. Like I'm not a professional.
Right.
But it was awesome. So hopefully everybody loves it. And I can't wait for July for it to come out.
Yes. It's July 25th on Netflix. Happy Gilmore 2. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it yet. I know that Adam wants to show us, some of the rough cuts, but, I've seen, the stuff from when I was on set and I even was amazed at how good it looks, but,
I can't wait.
It's so fun. I mean, Bad Bunny's his Caddy and it's just Travis Kelce makes a cameo.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
How did Bad Bunny?
I don't know. My understanding of it was, Bad Bunny, I guess, was a huge Adam fan and, next thing you know, they met a few times and hit it off. And he plays Bad Bunny is hilarious, like shockingly hilarious.
No,
and
I
he
think
did some stuff.
I think he did SNL. He was great. Yeah,
he did some stuff. He did some stuff that like I even asked him. I was like, "Did you like have any like coaching or prep for this?" Because like he did some physical comedy stuff, like acting as his caddy that was so good that like Justin and I like literally like we're glad we didn't have cameras on us because we were just dying laughing at he would do something new every single time and it was awesome. So he was super fun.
Love that. Love everything you have going on. I know you're focused on the Masters. Tourney pick? Who's winning the tourney? FanDuel friend? Who you got winning it all?
I can't pick Duke because I went to Wake Forest. I don't care if Duke was undefeated at this point. That's just, it's not in my blood. I'm going to go a little bit off the cuff here. I am going to go with Texas Tech. I'm a big fan of their coach. I love their team. He was at North Texas before he went to Texas Tech, and so I've been a big fan of his. So I'm going to go with Tech. I know that's probably not like a top pick for some guys, but I think they got some moxie that we just haven't seen yet out of them.
They're gonna love that. That fan base is going crazy, and I have a parlay up, a futures parlay. By the way, you guys can all go to FanDuel and Sportsbook and still get a part of that has Texas Tech going very far as well. So that's awesome.
Love
I'm
it.
gonna have you blind rake because of Gilmore. I'm gonna have you blind rake golf movies. Ready? 1 to 5.
Cool.
Let's go. I'm gonna do that on the TV set. Happy Gilmore.
I mean, if I say anything other than 1, I probably will lose my part in the movie. So I've got to put that at 1.
Yeah, they can edit. They can CGI you right out of there. It was 2025. Tin Cup.
Knowing what's probably coming, I'm going to put that at 3, but some of the best one-liners ever.
Legend of Bagger Vance.
I'll put that one at 5. I'm more of a comedy guy, but I do love Matt Damon and Will Smith. That were pretty good.
Caddyshack.
That's my 2. I mean, to this day, doesn't matter if there's a guy who's 25 or 55, like you can say a line from that movie and they'll know exactly what you're talking about in the golf world. So I'll put that at 2.
And then the greatest game ever played is your whatever. I don't even know which one you didn't. That's your 4? No, that's your.
I'll put that at 4, which I think is appropriate. That's ahead of Bagger Vance because that took place on where I finished second at the U.S. Open, or runner up there. So I like my list. I think one that would be kind of a dark horse that people don't know about is Dead Solid Perfect with Randy Quaid.
I'm writing it down. Since I'm a golf girl now, what is it called?
Dead Solid Perfect with Randy Quaid. It's like peak Randy Quaid from like late 80s, early 90s, like Christmas Vacation type stupid humor, but it's all about kind of like a joke about professional golfer, like a professional golfer, like going through a day in the life type thing. But it's just a total spoof on all of us being miserable and like, going home and, asking, how's your day? And it's like, my what? Like, give me a cocktail. Today was awful. I shot 1 under par.
This was my experience. I'm around these NFL players. Everyone was like happy to start. And then by the second hole, everyone's just upset. Like everyone's just wallowing and like Debbie Downering the entire. I'm like, guys, get a grip. Like it was so funny to watch. It was so funny to watch.
My Coba's hard. We had a tour event there for a couple of years, and my Coba, it took me a few years to figure out how to play that place. So I feel them on that front, but remind them they're in Cabo and they're having a grand old time. Have a few cocktails, have a few margaritas. Enjoy it.
And we certainly did. Okay, Will Zalatoris, I certainly enjoyed this. You're living your best life. Good luck at the Masters. I'm visualizing the green jacket. Let's go.
Thanks, Kay. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Everybody at FanDuel behind you, of course. Maybe you'll have Gronk be your caddy. We'll see. Bad Bunny is funny. I just learned so many things. We'll be back after this with Diamador Lenore. I think. I hope. I think.